biological men in women's restrooms. What world have we gotten to where that seems acceptable?
Jake Paul wants this person to use the men's restroom. That's what he's saying. Jake Paul wants this individual to use the women's restroom. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
And as a man, you should be offended by the fact that Kamala Harris goes on a podcast saying that there is no law that governs a man's body.
Is he about to talk about the draft, which ended in the 70s? If he does, I'm gonna Minecraft myself.
Is there any law? No.
Don't do it, Jake.
Hey, Kamala, what
Don't do it,
about
Jake.
the draft?
No!
He's a bad person. We can't let a criminal into the government. Every member founding the U.S. Constitution and this great country was a convicted felon of Great Britain.
What? Pals, I think you're really going to enjoy this video. If you do, please hit the like and subscribe button and comment button. It really helps out. Jake Paul has some thoughts about who he's voting for. This should be fun.
Nervous, scared to make this video because of what it means in terms of my career, my life, people coming after me, more accusations, more turmoil, more division potentially. However, I just want to provide information.
I feel like, am I crazy? Has he not been openly like super pro Trump for years?
To the potentially undecided voter, the things that I have seen over the past couple of years that have led me.
Ah, yes, the undecided voter that will find Jake Paul to be a convincing spokesperson
In a certain direction as to who I am supporting in this presidential election. And most of all, encouraging y'all to actually vote, encouraging y'all to actually do your own research and to base that research in the truth, not just reckless propaganda or your favorite pop star telling you to vote a certain way. And you
It's super cringe to listen to a pop star for their political opinions. Instead, you should listen to a social media influencer.
believing them because you love their song. And with that said, after watching this video, you shouldn't necessarily just listen to me either. Do your own research before you go and vote. But I highly, highly, highly encourage you to exercise your right to vote. Because I moved to Puerto Rico in pursuit of becoming a world champion in my boxing career, I have rescinded my right to vote. But that doesn't mean I can't present my 80 million large.
What? Did he change his residency to Puerto Rico? He didn't have to do that, right? Like, you can maintain residency in the state that you live in, right? Like, you don't have to rescind your right to vote. Were there maybe financial incentives? Like, maybe you pay less taxes or whatever? I'm so confused.
Audience with proper facts, numbers, and data to encourage them to vote in the proper direction to quite literally save America. And I'll start off with something that bothered me recently was Tony Hinchcliffe, a comedian who made a bad joke. Obviously, he's doing his job, trying to be funny, but him talking smack about Puerto Rico was not funny. And I want to shine a light on the fact that these aren't Donald Trump's views. It was a comedian who made a bad joke.
I have no idea who he is. Never saw him.
Tough shit. Why did your campaign greenlight the speech then? Why did they feed that into the teleprompter? That was a choice they made. Somebody saw that speech, saw that joke, and said, you know what? Run with it. Let's go with it.
Never heard of him and don't want to hear of him.
Tony, while I love most of your work, Puerto Rico is the most beautiful place on earth, and the people here are absolutely incredible. Wars, health, guns, jobs, economy, inflation, border control, freedom of speech, the list goes on and on. And
I could make a convincing argument that Kamala is better on literally every single one of those issues.
On with the number of problems that America currently faces. And I don't come to you to make this video to create more division. I believe love is the key to the universe and that we should all love each other more and more and more. And it saddens me that in the current political state of the world in America, people can't have opinions without outrageous backlash. And
it's not about, like, bro, your political leanings are not on the same level as what you thought of the new Aquaman film. It's not the same thing. When you take a position to support one candidate over another, and in this case, to support a candidate who is directly responsible for the right to have an abortion being rescinded in like 24 states, upending decades of quote unquote settled law, you are advocating for a person who did damage, real damage to people that are in your orbit. All of us probably know of someone who has had an abortion. In fact, no. Every single one of us knows someone who had an abortion. Every single one of us. I think it's 1 out of 4 women have had an abortion procedure at one point in their life. So when we're talking about like supporting someone who is which results in policy, which has an impact on the people around you, this isn't the same thing as like, oh, you know, like I didn't like the new Venom. Like I can be friends with someone who didn't like Venom. I share that opinion. I can be friends with someone who didn't like Aquaman, okay? It's difficult for me to be friends with people who, after 8 years since Trump first emerged, well, 9 years really, 9 years of knowing who Trump is, knowing the damage that he did. According to Deborah Birx, who was one of the people that was coordinating his federal response to COVID, she, in her own words, says that Donald Trump was directly responsible through his ineptitude.
And you?
Berg said he was responsible for like 250,000 people dying. Okay. So if you want to talk about like, if you want to distill it down to one issue, that seems pretty bad. For a president to be directly responsible for 250,000 people dying, that seems kind of like a non-starter. You know, why would we hire that person again?
I truly believe we can all agree on that things just don't feel right. America doesn't feel good. It shows that we are more.
Someone like me would argue that it's because of people like him. That's my argument. Of course, he would say the same thing about me, but I don't think we can both be right. I don't think we can both be 100% right, okay? One of us has to be more correct than the other. The biggest problem that I have with Americans right now is people, I feel like social media is really kind of destroying just the truth. and Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, like en masse, are just annihilating nuance, annihilating the truth, and people like him, you know, play a part in that.
More divided than ever, and I can't sit back and watch this blasphemy unfold in front of me any longer. What is
this blasphemy? What's he talking about?
The problem. Democrats have been in power for 12 of the last 16 years. So if we aren't happy with the current political state.
And what's happened in that time? What's happened in that time? We radically overhauled our healthcare system, which led to 50 million new covered people in this country. Since the ACA passed, 50 million people got access to healthcare in this country. We are now currently at our highest rate of coverage, healthcare coverage, in our country's history. 95% of people in this country have health insurance. Now, there are problems with health insurance. There's problems with the insurance model. Nobody would deny that. I think most people at this point, even Republicans, would prefer a Medicare system be expanded to everybody. And I think we can get that done. But you're right. Democrats have held power for 12 out of the last 16 years. And I will gladly make the affirmative case for both Obama and Biden over Donald Trump on any issue that you can imagine, including immigration.
Economic state, environmental state, then who is to blame? Tim Walz, the vice presidential candidate, has even said this himself.
We can't afford 4 more years of this.
We can't have 4 more years of this.
He clearly misspoke, or he said what he had to say in an inelegant way, but he was clearly talking about 4 more years of Donald Trump.
Even Tim says
this guy's talking about doing your own research and kind of seeing through the lies or whatever, and he just, very dishonestly frames what Walz was saying there.
Needs to be changed, and he's right. We need to change from Kamala Harris to the Republican candidate Donald Trump. Tim, I remind you that your running mate Kamala Harris is vice president, currently in the office, and hasn't done anything while she's in office.
What? Name one thing that Mike Pence did when he was in office, Jake Paul. Just one. I want Jake Paul to, besides certify the election, I want Jake Paul to look into a camera and tell me one thing. Literally, I can't. Can anybody in here? I have no idea what Pence did during those 4 years. No idea. I know he was a tie-breaking vote, maybe a couple times. I'm just assuming that. I can't tell you a single thing Pence did. I can't tell you a single thing that Biden did when he was vice president. Actually, that's not even true. I know that Obama sent him to Ukraine for that whole thing.
Basically no accomplishments. Let's start with a chart of inflation during the Biden-Harris term. Their overall inflation is 20.2% compared to the Trump-Pence administration with an overall inflation of 6.7%. Statistically 14% better, while
Hold on. Let's do the math on that real quick. Yep, checks out.
Trump was running the economy. As you can see in every category, energy, gasoline, rent, and food, the numbers are exponentially lower. And the lowest.
You know, that's one thing that I gotta say, like, I'm a big Biden fan, but if we're talking about criticisms for Biden, I think this is fair. I mean, I feel like all of Biden's supporters were pleading with him, like, hey, don't press the inflation button. Trump didn't press it. Why would you press the inflation go up button? And Biden did it anyways. And I think in that respect, yeah, I think he deserves criticism for that. If I were president, I would not have pressed the inflation button. And Biden's got to live with that decision. He's ultimately, it's his legacy, you know, so he's got to be the one that sleeps well at night. I just don't think he should have pressed that button.
Of the past 30 years of presidents. Again, regardless of your emotion.
There, bro, on economic, when we're talking about economic metrics, the Democrats in the modern era slaughter Republicans. Slaughter them. If Kamala wins, she will be the first Democratic president in the modern era to inherit an economy that was better off than at the beginning of her predecessor's administration. Carter, Clinton, Obama, Biden all stepped into economies that were on the ropes, and they all left office with the economy in a better position than it was before. Actually, I'm not sure about Carter. That was 50 years ago, but whatever.
I'm just presenting you with facts. Do I think Donald Trump is a perfect human being? No, I don't think anybody on this planet is a perfect human being, myself included. Don't judge people off of a character.
Well, don't sell yourself short, Jake Paul.
That the media has portrayed them to be. Because Democrats control 90% of the US media, so they will paint a picture to y'all, and that picture.
The #1 rated news show on television in terms of ratings is Fox News. And at this point, there is no question that conservatives have a massively outsized voice on social media. For Christ's sakes, a vaguely libertarian, now I guess dark MAGA billionaire bought Twitter, and I now see so much more conservative content show up on my feed. Like, Elon is doing everything that they accused people like George Soros of doing baselessly for the last several decades. Elon comes in and just does everything they were accusing liberals of doing. This idea that Republicans and conservatives don't have a voice in the modern era is so ridiculous.
Is what they want you to see. And to be frank, I'm not concerned with Donald Trump's character flaws or what he's done in the past. What I'm concerned with is how good of a president is he? Because that is his job.
I think someone's character flaws are super relevant when we're electing the leader of the free world. I think someone's character really matters.
And that is what's going to affect the people of this nation. Oh, Bill Belichick, so hard to work with. He's a dick to all of his players, but yet he's the most winningest coach in all of the NFL. We're not here to...
You might have a point if you could point to the Trump administration and describe it as a winning administration. If it was such a winning administration, why did he lose re-election? Why was Donald Trump made the first one-term president since 1992? If he was such a winning president, why were so many people unhappy with his job, with his performance? Why?
Call names.
Was it all because of the liberal media? Was it all because of the social media companies biased in favor of liberals? That's why? Really? You don't think people have legitimate grievances?
Get involved in emotional battles. Let's look at who was a better president during their terms.
Please, let's do that. I'm so comfortable doing that. Yes.
Statistically, the next major point that always comes.
Statistically, what statistic? What do you mean? There's so many statistics to to point to.
Comes up is abortion. Donald Trump abortion. Donald Trump isn't protecting women's rights. That's what the media has painted to you.
That's what the media has painted to me. He ran on a pro-life platform in 2016, even though he has almost certainly paid for many abortions in his lifetime. He appointed 3 explicitly pro-life, or rather pro-birth, Supreme Court justices, which directly led to Roe ending. Roe ending upended 5 decades of quote unquote settled law where women had a constitutional right to have an abortion.
And it's absolutely not true. Donald Trump was the president before for 4 years. What rights as a woman were taken away from you?
No! What are you saying right now? Is this... My good sir, you opened up this portion of your endorsement talking about abortion. How are you not putting these things together?
The answer is none. Donald Trump wants to put the power into the hands of each state to determine.
He did, which now led to enough states enacting abortion bans where 1 out of 3 women no longer have the right to have an abortion. That happened directly because of Donald Trump. You can't kick the can down to the states and be like, well, it's a states' rights issue. It doesn't matter. 5 years ago, or no, rather 3 years ago, if you're a woman living in any of the 50 states, you had a constitutional right to have an abortion.
Determine whether abortions will be legal there or not. So if you live in a Democratic state like California, yes, the Democrats will vote to allow abortion in California, putting the power in the hands of the people. So
Well, show me a single state where the people approve. I mean, my understanding is that many of these state legislatures are enacting these laws that are broadly unpopular with the electorate in those states. And then you have like the Kansas abortion measure, which, you know, was it Kansas, right? Kansas, this ruby red state, voted to allow abortions. Arizona, it's on the ballot there. I'm sure it will succeed. Nevada, I'm not sure what the makeup of their state legislature is. Ohio.
Many women are focused on this single issue voting. I encourage you not to be a single issue voter.
I mean, he's not wrong about that, but it's like, Jake, I'm not entirely sure that this is going to break through with any women that finds this video. I'm not sure this lecturing is going to land well.
He was already president. And how many rights did you lose? 0. He's trying to protect women's rights. What do you think it is when we have men in women's sports? We have men in our
talk about propaganda.
Personal spaces. What do you think it is when dangerous men come over the border? That's what protecting women and children is. Oh, he already said he's not going to do a nationwide abortion ban. He's not going to do it.
Facts. And if you really cared about women and their opportunities and their lives, I think it would be better to have a president that doesn't want biological men competing in women's sports.
Oh my God.
How many?
This individual lost, by the way. They competed in the Olympics and they lost.
Opportunities over the last couple of years have been stripped from women who spend their whole entire lives in a sport, hoping for opportunities for it to be taken away by a biological male.
I'm not even sure if we have the data, but I don't even know if there are more than like 20 trans female athletes competing in high school sports across the entire country. I think in Utah, when the governor overrode the state legislature, I believe there were 0. I don't think there were any trans athletes in the entire state. So why was the legislature? Why did they pass a bill when there weren't any trans athletes that were competing in like grade school to high school sports?
And not to mention,
they ran on trans stuff in 2022. It did not work. So if they want to make trans stuff their issue again in 2024, okay, you can try it again. We'll see if it works.
Biological men in women's restrooms. What world have we gotten to where that seems acceptable and that?
Okay, so Jake Paul wants Blair White to use men's restrooms. Jake Paul wants this person to use the men's restroom. That's what he's saying. I don't know. Jake Paul wants, hold on. Even better. Hold on. Jake Paul wants this individual to use the women's restroom. Can you imagine like this, how this would play out in real life? Like, let's say this person went to, a Dodgers game, and then this person casually walks into the women's restroom. How do you think that would play out? How do you see that story playing out? This is such a stupid issue. This is so dumb.
Is a political discussion in any way, shape, or form. And as a future father, you will find me dead.
Is that a biological woman? Then yes. I don't believe you when you say that. I just don't believe you. I think you are debate broing yourself into a ridiculous position. You're debate broing yourself into adopting a stupid position. You don't actually believe this person should use the women's restroom. I just don't believe you. I don't believe you. If you were out in public and you witnessed this, you would probably be like, oh, is that a groomer? Why did that person walk into the restroom? Are they trying to prey on girls? You'd be like, what the why is that? My 5-year-old niece is in there. What's going on? There's no way you believe this person should use the women's restroom when they're out in public. You don't believe that. I don't believe you. I just straight up think you're lying.
Before I send my daughter to a school where men can go into her bathroom and where men can compete against her in sports. It's bullshit. That is taking away a woman's rights. And I don't hate trans people. It's not an attack.
Jake, it's a bold position to think that, you know, which bathrooms trans people use and whether or not trans people should compete in certain divisions of sports. If you think that these issues are more salient for women than abortion, we'll find out when we see these exit polls. We'll find out. We will find out which issue matters more to women voters across the country.
Against them, I believe adults should dress and act however they want, but you shouldn't encroach your rights into other areas of the.
This person has never felt encroached by trans people ever in their life, ever. Jake Paul has never felt encroached. I have never felt encroached at any point in my life because trans people exist visibly in society. I've never felt like I was giving something up, ever. And I don't think anybody in chat, in either chat, in YouTube or Twitch chat, I don't think any of you could articulate any moment of your life where you felt, quote unquote, encroached. And if you tried to, I would just tell you, I don't believe you. I don't think you're being honest.
Delusion and infringe on other.
I live in Los Angeles. I used to live in San Francisco. And I believe I've met 10 to 20 trans people in my entire life. It's a very small pool of people.
Humans' basic rights. And Caitlyn Jenner herself is a perfect example of this, and someone who carries herself perfectly in.
Caitlyn Jenner competes in women's golf tournaments, for f***'s sake. What a stupid example. She literally competes in women's golf tournaments.
A complex and tough situation and conversation across the world. And as a man, you should be offended by the fact that Kamala Harris goes on a podcast saying that there is no law that governs a man's body.
Can we try?
Is he about to talk about the draft, which ended in the 70s? If he does, I'm going to Minecraft myself, I swear.
To think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision.
Don't do it. I have so much to live for in Minecraft. Please. I'm building a home. I'm going to fight the Kraken Beast. Who do you fight in Minecraft? I've got so much to live for in Minecraft. Please don't make me Minecraft myself.
Decision. I know what you're going to ask. About
Is he about to mention the draft, which ended in 1974? When did the draft end? 1973.
out a man's body.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it.
Is there any law?
No.
Don't do it, Jake.
Hey, Kamala, what
Don't do
about
it, Jake.
the draft?
No! Don't do it, Jake. I just told you not to do it.
Which requires men to fight for their country, die, go to war, or face imprisonment and $250,000 in.
He did it. He did it. He did it. Now I have to jump off a cliff in Minecraft.
Just subscribe.
I don't wanna.
Fines. What about that law, Kamala? As a man, that should frustrate you that she's neglecting the truth about what men do for this country. And women do so much for this country. But let's not make this a battle of sexes. Everyone is equally important in this discussion. And sorry, Thor. Yeah, I know. It's madness. It's a crazy world. It's gonna be okay.
Why is his face so red?
Yeah, that's Thor. He's voting for Donald Trump. I would also argue that Donald Trump is protecting women by not letting 15 million illegal immigrants through the borders. 662,566 have criminal histories, 13,000 convicted of homicide, and
This was debunked. Thoroughly debunked. This was data that went back 40 years, including during Trump's time when he was in office. It's just a thoroughly debunked talking point. So stupid.
so on. Having those unidentified people roaming the streets, I believe, arguably, is a bigger potential threat to.
It's objectively not. They commit crime at lower rates than native-born Americans. It's just, we have the data. There's no speculation. We don't need to guess. You know, this is just the truth.
The women of America. Even the Border Patrol Council, the people who are in charge of the border, endorsed Donald Trump. Quote, if we allow border czar Harris to win this election, this great country is going to hell.
The untold millions of people, unvetted, who she has allowed into this country
We don't allow anyone into the country unvetted. This is just a lie.
that are committing murders, robberies, burglaries, and every other crime will continue to put our country in peril.
Take it from the people who are actually on site, actually managing the border, not from me. And throughout Donald Trump's campaign, the left, who owns 90% of the media, has convinced the world that Donald Trump doesn't like gay people. But when we pull up the footage of Donald Trump's past support.
Well, what kind of judges did he appoint? I mean, do we feel good about a Obergefell? I don't. I don't know if Obergefell is going to stay the law of the land. I have no idea. He appointed 3 very religiously conservative, socially conservative people to the Supreme Court, and it is entirely plausible that Obergefell goes bye-bye in the next few years. We have no idea. But the fact that we're even having that conversation, I don't care if he hugged a rainbow flag. I don't care if he's friends with gay people that are in the Hollywood elite or whatever. None of that matters to me. I don't care if he's friends with Caitlyn Jenner. What kind of judges is he going to appoint? And what are they going to do? That's the only thing that matters.
Supporting gay people, people will want to ignore.
He kicked trans people out of the military on a whim by tweet. He was having dinner with someone, and in the middle of his dinner, I can't remember who he was having dinner with. Do you guys remember this happened? This is what happened. He was having dinner with some conservative, some Republican person or whatever. And then during the dinner, he pulls his phone out and he just announces that they were going to get rid of trans people in the military based on nothing. Based on nothing whatsoever. There was no data to support that it was impacting our military readiness. Nothing. It wasn't based on anything.
Ignore that clip.
I'm all for guys that like men, but it's just not my thing.
I will do everything in my power to protect.
It's just funny, of all the quotes to demonstrate that Trump is super pro gay, he's like, I'm not gay. That's one of the clips they use is him saying I'm definitely not gay.
Our LGBTQ citizens.
And then we pull up Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden, who are all Democrats, being anti-gay and anti-gay marriage and campaigning it publicly. It's on camera. Roll the clip.
They shifted their position when the majority of the electorate shifted their position. That's usually what happens with politics. In 2008, you couldn't be elected president if you were openly in favor of gay marriage. It was just a different electorate back then. It is what it is. Donald Trump, I assume, was anti-gay marriage for the longest time. I would be shocked if you showed me a clip of him in 2008 coming out in favor of gay marriage. That would shock me. Maybe it's possible, but yeah.
Support gay marriage?
No, Barack Obama nor I support redefining from a civil side what constitutes marriage.
I believe that marriage.
Don't even bring up the gay marriage thing, bro, because support for gay marriage and with Republican voters has ticked below 50% again in the modern era. In this massive anti-queer hysteria fueled by people like libs of TikTok and Joe Rogan. We had a majority support with respect to Republican voters for gay marriage in this country. We had that. And now it's down to 45%. So a majority of Republican voters are opposed to gay marriage in the year of our Lord, 2024.
is the union between a man.
Also, yeah, literally Biden codified gay marriage at the federal level. So stupid, man. There's like, listen, I don't want to like, look, there's a lot of good dudes in this country, but we have a dude problem in this country is what's going on. We have a dude problem in this country.
And a woman.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman.
But somehow they convince people that no, Donald Trump's the bad guy. Meanwhile, he's hosting gay marriages in Mar-a-Lago. And as he should.
Cool. What kind of judges is he going to appoint? What kind of judges did he appoint? That's all that matters. Who cares about photo ops? It doesn't matter.
Good. We're all for people loving whoever they want.
Raggedy ass flag, you guys.
Whoever they want to love. Whoever they want to love. Whoever.
Dude, he edited this vlog like that one scene in Bohemian Rhapsody where there's like 95 cuts in 2 minutes. No shot you included this picture. Do you see like this? This is so raggedy. This wrinkled ass rainbow flag with like my handwriting.
Loving whoever they want to love. What we're not here for.
What is with the cuts, bro?
He's hosting gay marriages in Mar-a-Lago. And as he should. We're all for people loving whoever they want to love. What we're not.
Why would you add that cut there? That 0.3 second cut was so unnecessary.
Here for is adults campaigning in the streets to young children.
He keeps doing
to
it.
have surgeries that will affect them for the rest of their lives when they don't know who they are, what they want to be.
The fact that this is how you know conservatives are stupid. I'm just saying. Like the fact that probably 99% of conservatives in the country literally think that they're giving kids sex change operations. How do you not like, how does common sense not kick in at some point? You know, how could you believe something so stupid? Like it's so stupid to believe something like that they're giving like 8-year-olds bottom surgery. How could you believe that? It doesn't even make any sense. They're like, they're going to get sex changes before they've gone through sexual development. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Are young girls getting double mastectomies when they haven't even developed breasts yet? Doesn't make any sense. It's just on its face. It's so absurd. You'd have to be so stupid to believe something like this. Nerdgasm with 10 months. Back when you were on PKA, I told you there was a vocal minority of fans that would be annoying towards you. There is a poll at the top of the subreddit now asking people who they want, who they're going to vote for. It turns out Kamala is actually a favorite among PKA listeners. Wait, is that true? Hold on Reddit though. Reddit's a different beast, okay? That doesn't surprise me.
Or what they want to turn into. And people should really understand the difference between those two ways of thinking. You have to be 18 to vote, 18 to smoke, but you can mutilate your body at 10 years old. It's not okay. Donald Trump's a felon, convicted of felon.
At 10 years old? There's no way you believe that a 10-year-old is getting sex change operations. Again, what does that even mean? To get a sex change operation before puberty? I don't know what that means. How stupid do you have to be to believe something so outrageous?
Felonies. He's a bad person. We can't let a criminal into the government. Every member founding the U.S. Constitution and this great country that has grown from the U.S. Constitution was a convicted felon of Great Britain.
What? What? That is not how any of this works. That is not how any of this works, you guys. What an incredible leap of logic.
People rebelling against the system, wanting to create change, wanting to disrupt, and wanting to do right by the people that founded this country were all felons. Shouldn't it be obvious that the good person they don't want in office? Shouldn't it be obvious that the one they're trying to kill is the one we need? And shouldn't
Who is they? You know, they being like a conservative 21-year-old gun club nut.
Shouldn't it be a sign that a member of the most famous Democratic family, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
So you're going to mention the one member that has aligned themselves with Trump and not the like dozen that have gone on the record to say that their brother, cousin, uncle is insane. You can't bring up like JFK's family without bringing up the countless members of RFK Jr.'s family that have denounced him at this point.
Switched this year from Democratic to Republican, stating so many things that the party has lost its way. He doesn't stand with what they represent anymore, and
he sure doesn't. And good riddance. He was never a part of this coalition. Never. Why do you think Kamala refused to take a phone call with him? He tried to get a phone call with Kamala and they said no, which was kind of gutsy at the time. Kind of gutsy because he was polling like around 5%. Maybe there might have been a temptation there to build a bridge with him to maybe convince some of his voters to support her. And they didn't even take a call. Kamala was like, nah, we're good.
Joining Donald Trump in his cabinet to make America healthy again, which I think as a young person is
by getting rid of fluoride. We'll get rid of fluoride and then we'll see like tooth infections go up by 700%. You know, by coming out against the polio vaccine, for Christ's sakes.
Is one of the biggest problems in America. The unhealthy food, the vaccines that were forced upon us. This is a major problem that is killing.
Nobody forced that vaccine on me. I was so giddy to go get my vaccination. When I finally got the date and we had to wait like 3 weeks, I didn't even care that it was like the lowborn J&J. I didn't care that the highborn Pfizer were mocking me, okay? I didn't care. When I finally got that shot, I felt so good. I felt so good. It felt like there was like an end to like a trauma. You know what I mean? It had there was like a symbolic victory to getting that vaccine. I need to go get a booster, actually. What am I doing? I still haven't gotten one yet.
So many people, obesity. You look at other countries, they're not fat like Americans, and I believe RFK will actually make a difference in this. But on the Democratic side, there's no mission forward on this side. And one of RFK's biggest points is he believes that the left...
Really? Like, we want to expand on the ACA. We want to include in-home elderly care with Medicare. We want to expand Medicare to cover vision and dental. And you think that and Trump, they're running on again repealing the ACA. If you want to talk about like making America healthier,
is a threat to democracy, to free speech, all of these things, and that's the very thing that the left campaigns to be holding tried and true. We're going to protect.
We are way better on free speech than the party who's led by a guy who just last week said that CBS and NBC should lose their license. There's no comparison between the two parties here. Only one party right now currently cares about free speech.
Democracy, all while doing the least democratic thing possible. So
democracy? Are you even going to bring up January 6th? Is that not relevant in your analysis, Jake Paul?
Suppressing RFK, not providing him with Secret Service, not allowing him to be a part of debates. Isn't that a part of democracy?
He's not owed a debate. He failed to meet a particular threshold of support necessary to share a stage. If we just allowed everybody to get on a debate stage, we would have like 50 debate opponents. There has to be some standard. There has to be some threshold that you meet. He's not entitled to share a debate stage with Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Democracy? Again, I'll let you ponder on that one. And me personally, I don't really like politicians. It's, oh, look at me, I'm nice, I'm this, I'm perfect, this is what I'm gonna do. I like the fact that Donald Trump is a businessman who has billions of dollars and won't be influenced by some deal or some treaty that's gonna make him.
Oh my God. Now, China was giving patents to Ivanka Trump while she was in office. Foreign governments funneled tens of millions of dollars directly into Trump's pockets through his properties when Donald Trump was president. This idea that Donald Trump can't be bought, are you insane? Really? How could you come to that conclusion?
Himself personally rich, which we all know the dirty game of politics. And the following statement is just my opinion and not necessarily hard facts, and it's alleged. But isn't it crazy that apparently Nancy Pelosi goes into office and then comes out $200-300 million richer from knowing what stocks to invest into?
I don't think that the Pelosi's got rich because of the stock market. The Pelosi's got rich because Paul Pelosi is like a real estate magnate.
Because of the deals that she is making. No, we want a rich, wealthy president who won't be influenced by money and make the proper decisions for the country. Shouldn't
We don't want rich Democrats. We can't have rich Democrats serving in office. We need rich Republicans. That's the way we get this done.
this be obvious? Which leads me to the madness of this current presidential administration who is funding multiple wars.
Wait, Donald Trump's net worth went up, to my understanding, substantially when he was president. Wait, am I looking at this right? Technically, it did go down a little bit on his watch, and then it shot up to $5.7 billion in 2024. So from the time he was elected, he has $1.2 billion more in his pocket. I don't know if that logic is great logic, but
different
whatever.
sides of each war, funneling billions and billions and billions of dollars into Ukraine, where 1 million Russians and Ukrainians have died, 20 times worse than the Vietnam War. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Did he just say 1 million Russians and Ukrainians have died? I've never heard the number that high. Maybe it's that high.
Are funding that, funding Iran to give money to Hamas to fight Israel, then funding Israel to fight back against the Hamas, funding both sides of a war of terror where innocent people are dying. And then hurricanes hit the United States. Thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans who don't have supplies, who don't have basic needs met because, well, Kamala and Joe spent all of our money funding.
Oh God, he's so and stupid, you guys. Oh, I hate him so much. And it sucks because he's like the median young dude in this. He's like the median under 35 dude in this country who believe this stupid, insane shit. He's not median. I think he is, man. I think he represents the median dude. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. You know, Donald Trump openly, publicly, unabashedly played politics with disaster relief funds for California. When we were ravaged by wildfires, he was like, well, you should have raked your forests, and held up aid for like 3 weeks. He held up aid for Puerto Rico when they suffered their hurricane by, I think, 2 months. I know who I'd prefer to be in charge. If my community was hit by a natural disaster, I would much prefer Democrats be in charge.
These wars overseas, but when the Americans need the money, no one's there to help.
And the federal relief and
I mean, FEMA was there to help. I don't know what you're talking about. Whatever.
assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA provide.
I feel like Nadeshot is one tweet away from making. Is Nadeshot still tweeting about politics? I don't think so. It's mostly COD stuff right now. When was the last time he tweeted about politics?
Providing $750.
$750. LOL. I remind you.
I hate him so much. It just sucks that like the median young dude in this country seems to think that the president determines, you know what? Give him 750. Like the president just kind of evaluates each disaster, and just, I guess Biden just arbitrarily landed on $750. They don't understand that the Congress determines what these FEMA funds are. And also, these people are entitled to way more money than $750. They're entitled to so many. There are dozens of relief programs that Americans that are impacted by a natural disaster can apply for. Dozens. To help make them whole and help get them through natural disasters like the ones that we saw with the hurricanes recently.
That is the current presidential administration, where Trump had peace in the world. Why? Because people respect him.
I can't anymore. No more, guys. We have to make it stop. At some point, it just has to stop.